We continue now at the top of Daf Ayin Ches Amud Aleph in Meseches Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 78a. The Brisa continues, Zeh Hadavar Chacham Matir Ve'ein Baal Matir. The pasuk of Zeh Hadavar teaches us that the Chacham, he's able to be Matir, he can undo the neder, but the Baal, the husband, is not able to undo the neder. He can only be made for the neder, he can only annul the neder. And the Gemara continues, Tanya Idach, we have another Brisa, Zeh Hadavar, again the pasuk says Zeh Hadavar, Baal Mefer ve'ein Chacham Mefer. The husband is able to be Mefer, he can annul the vow, but the Chacham is not able to do that. Sheyachol, because you might have thought, Uma Baal she'ein Matir Mefer, if a husband who's not able to undo the vow can annul the vow. So Chacham she'matir eino din she'mefer, so if you have a Chacham who undoes the vow, shouldn't it be true that he's able to annul the vow? And again, the Gemara says, Talmud Lomar, the pasuk says, Zeh Hadavar, says the pasuk, Zeh Hadavar, Baal Mefer, V'yein Chacham Mefer. The husband is able to annul the vow, and the Chacham is not able to annul the vow. And the Gemara continues, Nemar kan Zeh Hadavar, over here it says Zeh Hadavar, V'nemar lahalan, and it says further on, Zeh Hadavar, it says the same words, it says Zeh Hadavar, B'shchutei chutz, by the halacha of shechting, you're not allowed to shecht kachim outside of the Beis HaMikdash. And so the Brisa teaches, Ma b'shchutei chutz Aaron uvona v'chol Yisrael, just like by shchutei chutz it applies to Aaron and his children and all of Klal Yisrael. Av Parshas Nedarim, the same is true by the Parsha of Nedarim. Aaron uvona v'chol Yisrael, it applies to Aaron, his children, and all of Klal Yisrael. The Gemara will explain this. Umakan Rashi Hamatos, and just like over here we're talking to the Rashi Hamatos, the Parsha of Nedarim is spoken to the heads of the tribes. Aflahal and Rashi Hamatos, so too over there by shchutei chutz, it applies to the heads of the tribes. And the Gemara now explains, B'Parshas Nedarim l'mai hilchasa. When we're having this limud by the Parsha of Nedarim, we're saying Aaron uvana v'chol Yisrael. So what is that teaching us? What practical halacha? Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov says, Lahachshir shlosh hadyotos. What the Brisa means to say is that you can even undo the vow. You don't have to have experts. Even if you have 3 regular people, that is enough. That panel of judges is enough to undo the vow. And the Gemara says, V'ha Rashi Hamatos ksib, but doesn't the pasuk itself say Rashi Hamatos? There has to be something unique about the heads of the tribes. And to that, the Gemara says, Amar Rav Chisda v'Tamer Rav Yochanan. Rav Chisda says, and some say it's Rav Yochanan who says, B'Yochid Mumcha. That part of the pasuk is referring to the idea that even a single individual can undo the vow if he is a Mumcha, if he is an expert. And the Gemara continues, Rashi Hamatos b'shchutei chutz l'mai hilchasa. When the Brisa says there's a halach of Rashi Hamatos that applies by shchutei chutz, what practical halach is that talking about? Amar Rav Sheshes says, Lomar, what it means to say is sheyesh she'ela behektish, that even when you have consecrated property, you're able to do she'ela, you can ask to undo such a neder. And the Ran explains, Lomar sheyesh she'ela behektish hem hiktish behema v'shachta b'chutz. Let's say the person sanctified an animal and he shechted it outside of the area where he's supposed to shecht it, but then he goes out and he asks to try to undo the fact that it was hektish. Potter, he's actually potter. Since there's a concept of she'ela by hektish, it's as if he was not makdish it at all. Because the chacham is able to uproot the neder from the outset. But the Gemara continues, Beis Shammai, according to the opinion of Beis Shammai, Amar ein she'ela b'hektish. Beis Shammai happened to hold there is no she'ela by hektish. So Rashi Hamatos t'chsib b'shchutei chutz l'mai hilchasa. What are they going to do with the pasuk of Rashi Hamatos that's written by shchutei chutz? And so the Gemara says, Beis Shammai les lu gezerah shava. Beis Shammai, they do not make this gezerah shava between the parsha of Nedarim and the parsha of shchutei chutz. And so the Gemara says, well, according to that, Zeh Hadavar by Parshas Nedarim l'mai ksiv. So what is Zeh Hadavar by Parshas Nedarim? What is that for? And so to that, the Gemara says, Lomar, that means to say, Chacham matir ve'ein Baal matir, that the Chacham can undo the neder and not the husband. Baal mefer ve'ein Chacham mefer, and the husband can annul the neder and the Chacham cannot. And so the Gemara says, Zeh Hadavar b'shchutei chutz l'mai ksiv. Again, if Beis Shammai is not making the Gzer Shava, so what do they do with Zeh Hadavar by shchutei chutz? And to that the Gemara says, Lomar, that means to say, Al hashchita chayiv, that when it comes to shchita, there's a chayiv in terms of shchutei chutz. You can't shecht it outside the area it's supposed to be shechted. V'yein chayiv ala malika, but there is no chayiv on malika. Malika is by the birds. If you do malika outside of the area, there's no chayiv. And the Gemara continues, Elul Beis Shammai lahachshir gimel hadyotos minolan. But according to Beis Shammai, where do they learn that a panel of 3 regular people are able to undo a vow? And to that the Gemara says, Nafkaluhumi de Ravasi bar Nasan. They learned that out from the teaching of Ravasi bar Nasan. Dechsiv, because the pasuk says, Vayidaber Moshe Moadei Hashem al Bnei Yisrael. Pasuk talks about the Moadei Hashem, the holidays. V'atanya, and the Brisa says, Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says, Moadei Nemru v'lo Nemra Shabbos Bereshis Imohen. It says, it talks about the holidays, but it doesn't talk about Shabbos alongside them. And Ben Azai Omer, Ben Azai says, Moadei Nemru, it talks about the holidays. V'lo Nemar Parshas Nedarim Imohen. And it doesn't say the Parshas Nedarim alongside them. And so the Gemara now comments, Ravasi bar Nasan kashalei hamas nisra. Ravasi bar Nasan, he was bothered by this brisa. He didn't understand what is this brisa referring to. So asal Nahardoi l'kamid Rav Sheshis. So he came to Nahardoi to bring this brisa before Rav Sheshis in order to understand, to try to understand this brisa v'lo ashkechei, but he couldn't find him. He couldn't find Rav Sheshis. So asa basri l'mechuza. So then he followed him. He found him in mechuza. Amar le, he said to him, Moadei Hashem nemru v'lo nemra Shabbos Bereshis Imohen. It says in the brisa that it talks about the Moadim, but it doesn't say Shabbos together with them. V'aksiv Shabbos Imohen, but it does say Shabbos near the area where it talks about the Moadim. V'suin further, Moadei Hashem nemru v'lo nemra Parshas Nedarim Imohen. The brisa says that it talks about the Moadim, but it doesn't talk about the Parsha of Nedarim alongside them. V'amisitra, but it is written alongside them. We do find that next to that Parsha, it talks about Nedarim. So Amar Lei, so he said to him, Hachi Katani. This is what the Brisa means to say, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ayin Ches Amud Beis.